Welcome back for another weekly Coach's Show here with Coach Bentley. I'm Tate Mendoza filling in for Clint again. I want to go ahead and mention our sponsors. We've got Union Bank of Mena, Mena Insurance, University of Arkansas Rich Mountain, and Sterling Machinery. We appreciate those guys. They've supported this all year and have for several years in a row. So really appreciate those businesses and stepping up for this weekly Coach's Show for us here. Well, Coach, we're back here again. Unfortunately, on the backside of a loss down at Ashdown, kind of went in there. They had a lot of momentum as far as excitement going on with homecoming, a lot of just festivities and
senior night. They actually was that unique. They combined their
blended.
homecoming and their senior night all in one. But again, they're put in that tough situation like we are with losing a couple games and having a hard time replacing them. So. Combining both those, I've never quite seen it, but that's what happens when you're a few games short and everything at the end of the year. So.
I'll say this: I did radio by myself, so I was up there nervous as a cat, trying to get everything plugged in and ready to go, and got called into Teasdale, and we were good to go. But they only started about 2 minutes late, really. So they did they did a good job getting it out of the way and being efficient and getting the show on the road. But well, unfortunately, I guess let's get the elephant out of the room. You start a game that we all get off the bus and show up there, and unfortunately you lose your starting quarterback before you even put the pads on. So
so that super unique situation. Don't know that I've ever had anything quite like that happen in all my years of coaching. Dax was doing his regular pregame warm up, going through his routines and non-padded, non-contact, and then rolled out and that turf over at Ashdown, it's a little slicker. It's a little different. It's a sand-based, so there's no pellets. There's not a lot of give and grab to it, so it can be slick at times. Anyway, so he rolled out, slipped and fell, and caught himself on his arm, his wrist, and ended up getting a couple fractures there. And so right before the game, unfortunately for him, and like I said, I hate it for him. He's had a really, really good sophomore year. Everybody likes to judge and have their opinions about the quarterback position, whether a sophomore, junior, senior, but there's no doubt he has gotten so much better throughout the year. He's become a really good catalyst and leader of our offense, and I just hate to see it end for him as quick as it did. But put us definitely in a unique situation, right? Because football, you prepare all the way for a certain week, and you have your game plan, you feel good about it, and then 30 minutes before the game, you have to readjust, and I was really proud of our kids. Right from the start, they were worried about Dax and hoping the best for him, but they were also like, "Hey, let's go! It's time to step up and make things happen in his place." And so I was really proud of their reaction off of that, and thankful for us. We've had situations this year when other people have taken some snaps, so it wasn't a completely foreign concept for us, for someone else to be back at quarterback. We've had some situations where Michael Sullivan has come in a few packages and been the quarterback, and Elijah Smith as well. So we at least had that situation. But again, we're limited in that because we just weren't prepared in that situation for it as far as game plan goes. But I thought Coach Dover did a great job adjusting, and Michael and Elijah in the line. Everybody did a good job adjusting and getting us in a situation to win that game late into the fourth quarter.
Unique, nonetheless, and Dax is a kid we all know and love, and he's a fine young man. I was no more proud of him than a week or two ago when he spoke at the indoor facility festivities, and it's just the kid he is. He's a good kid. He's a very sharp kid. Hate it for him, Dax. I want to just tell you, we're thinking about you and praying for you. But unique's probably a nice way to put it. It just, like you said, that's. As coaches, you just got to battle through it. That's all you can do.
Well, it's multifaceted, right? Because in one instant, it's 6:20, 6:15, something like that. So you've got your pregame to go through, right? And then, most importantly, you've got an injured kid here.
Yeah.
And so that was my primary focus was Dax and being able to get a hold of parents and then make sure he was good. That's where it came first. And then once we make sure he's good and everything there, so now focus shifts back on my end, being the head coach, to okay. Let's make sure, and thankfully that's the nice thing about being an assistant and coordinator. They can focus on the football part of it right away. My job as the head coach is focus on the whole picture of it. So once we made sure that Dax was good with everything, now we shift back over and okay, We don't, we're not going to be a victim here. What are we going to do to put ourselves in position to win? And so, yeah, you come back and, say, hey, here we go. It's no different than what we did. We just have to be better and more consistent.
Sure.
And so,
and it's just
we did that.
The part that was so, I mean, you got to be ready for next man up and all the cliche things that go with it. But it's kind of like we talked several weeks ago, you and I. It's not just a switch, of quarterbacks in general. You're going from one that does one thing very well, throw the football, manage the offense, and things like that. Where Michael, he's played a lot of quarterback, and we were lucky to have him as a backup. And I mentioned that several times. Michael's had plenty of snaps. He can do it. He can run the offense.
But it's just a different type.
He's a different player.
Yeah, right. And that is a great point. Is yes, we are lucky to have someone that can take snaps back there, but our offense isn't necessarily. It's built around Michael as a runner.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's not necessarily built around the quarterback that Michael and Elijah both kind of are. Like I said, we have some packages built around their strengths as a quarterback, but that's just what they are, is packages. They're not the full offense. And I think that's what we ran into. I think we got the most out of those things in the first half and even in the third quarter. And I think you could kind of see, not that we shot all our bullets out of the gun or whatever, but we kind of ran into a wall of what we were able to do just because of the limited amount of time of preparation that we had getting that ready. And so, that's a great point. Is yes, we have some experience back there, but it's a completely different philosophy, when someone else besides Dax is back there.
Right. I mean, like you said, you spend roughly 6 full days getting prepared for the next week, and you do it a certain way, and it's just flipped on you, at a snap of a finger. But, I felt, I'll say this, you came out, you onside kicked, you kind of got the momentum going, and just offensively couldn't really get it going. That first drive, we came out, again, it was kind of been the pattern all year. We played great defense, I feel like, in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
To hold a team like that's pretty physical. They had some pretty good size.
Yeah.
We did a good job.
They were healthy. They've been unhealthy. I mean, they've been unlucky too. And I think their head coach told me this first time they've been healthy in several weeks. And I was like, well, of course they're playing the Bearcats, so of course they're going to be fully healthy and have everybody they need. So yeah, I mean, it's playing a team that is back, being fully healthy and all that. But you're right, it kind of got worn down at the end there. With their players.
Yeah, I felt like just offensively we just couldn't really get the ball rolling. It was kind of one of those. I mean, Ashdown played a good game defensively against us once. It was pretty obvious that we were going to be, really heavy run with Michael and Brody, who ran the ball hard as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Just really couldn't get anything going in the pass game to kind of keep them honest. Offensively, you had the big run from Brody there for 55 yards pretty quick in the end of the first quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
To kind of answer, and
I think it was second quarter, actually there. No, it might have been first quarter. Yeah, it was first. Yeah, it was towards the end of the first quarter, something like that. That's right.
And that tied the game up. Yeah, 7-7, and Brody's able to go, I think, about 55 yards.
Yes.
Looked well doing it.
Yes.
Blocked it good. Got the score 7-7 there in the first half. Into the first quarter. I think Ashdown then immediately pretty much answered to make it 14-7, and then we were able to come back again with a long. Ashdown had a long drive to get that second touchdown for themselves, shoot up a bunch of clock, and then we did the exact same thing, just kind of prod our way down the field.
Right.
Michael did a good job taking care of the football at that point. Some good runs out of him and Brody getting down, and then Mike, caps it off with like a 3 or 4 yard touchdown run to make it 14-14 going into the half. So honestly, you lose your starting quarterback to start the game, you're 14-14 going into the half. I mean, you probably couldn't have had it any better.
No, and like I said, I'm just really proud of the response of that and of the kids being put almost, I won't say an impossible situation, but an extremely tough situation where you have to affect and change so many different things and defense too. I mean, at that point too, extra pressure is added to your defense because you lost your quarterback, but you didn't lose anybody on defense. So
sure,
it's like, hey, ball's in your court defense, and we need you to step up. We need you to play. And I thought we did for the most part. And even like you said on the long drives, if they're going to score, we want them to make them earn it. That's what we always say. Hey, I mean, offenses are too good, coaches are too good, players are too good. Now you're not going to hold people out for 0 points in most situations, but you want to make them earn every single thing that they get. And I thought in that first half, man, even in the third quarter, I was really, really proud of our kids' response and making plays. And you got to, at some point, you got to put it on yourself and say, hey, I'm going to step up here and I'm going to make plays for my team. And I thought we had several kids that did that.
Sure. No, I was very pleased. I mean, that first half was just kind of, getting our feet wet, getting it figured out, and played hard defensively as we usually do. I'd say that's something we probably hang our hat on all year. We played very hard defensively.
Yeah, we've had them on the field too much. We've given them some short. Because I mean, you look at the points we've given up. Yeah, we are giving up too many points and figuring that. But again, you look at the why, and you know they've been on the field a little bit, even different times throughout the year. I mean, they've been on the field too much, and they've had some short fields they've had to defend. You know, we didn't help them at all that second touchdown on not getting that other onside, and so that was a fault of mine. So, you know, we got to put them in better positions to be successful because yeah, they do play hard and physical and make a lot of good plays on that side.
I'm sure you've got the first two highlights there we talked about, but I wanted to mention one more because I bet it's in there. We gave them a short field in the first quarter on a fumble that got just kind of an oddball play.
Yeah, kicked around.
They started a drive on the 15 going in, and defense did a great job stopping them on a fourth down right there to start the game. So, you know, kind of those highlights the first half would be the Brody touchdown, the Mike touchdown, and then that fourth down defensive stop was very impressive.
Huge, a good way to set the tone for us. Like you said, we get the onside momentum. Then we get that fumble at the end, great field position for them, and just a way to say, hey, we're not going away. You know, just because you got great field position, we're not going away. And yeah, it was just a huge play. And like I said, that's something that we've done a couple times, you know, throughout the year of our defense has been put behind the eight ball there and stepped up and made some good plays and been able to keep us in the game at that point. Because you give up a quick score right there after some, you know, quick turnover or whatever, then it's harder to dig yourself out of that hole.
Sure. Yeah, I had a note of that. I think we hold them probably 0 for 3 on fourth downs in the first
like
first
yeah,
half.
it's really good. Yeah, and like I said, I think that's the second highlight we'll see here in a minute is that fourth down play. So,
like I said, we go into halftime 14-14. I think we battled probably as well as we could have. You know, third quarter come out and basically, you know, probably some stale offense and defensively played well again. We enter that fourth quarter 14-14 again as a tie, and I think there was probably an interception on our part that kind of sparked them. And
but we had another big stop.
We had another fourth down stop.
We had another big stop, but we turned it over right that very next play with the interception. Right. And then the quarter ended, and then they got a big run right pretty quick into the fourth quarter there. So, you know, again, offensively, I think we kind of hit a wall with what we were able to do. It's hard in the middle to get everybody on the same page. Again, putting in that situation where we're in and having to pretty much run a completely different offense than what we're used to consistently. It's hard to really find different things against a good defense. It's not like we were playing I mean, that's what Ashdown hangs their head on is defense and their head coach, the defensive-minded coach. And so, you know, it's hard to adjust on that with no preparation or time there. And then defensively, unfortunately, you hold them, but we gave up two big plays. And the two big plays was obviously a big run right up the middle and then a big pass over the top on us in the second half, our fourth quarter. And unfortunately, we couldn't dig out of that part of it. And that's what we were saying earlier is when they score, you want to have them earn it. Make them earn it. Because if you're not making them earn it, then there's just a lot of negative that can come from it.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's, you know, they did a really good job, I felt like, or we did a really good job, you know, most of the game for basically a little over three quarters, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, you know, the ball got rolling downhill. We just couldn't stop it there for a little bit. And I attribute it more to probably the defense was just on the field so many minutes of the first three quarters. They were probably just a little gassed there towards the end and gave up those, you know, a couple busted plays thanks to the deep throw.
Well, and that was because we did kind of have to, we moved a little bit of personnel around because we were so tired and we're still playing some young guys over there.
Sure.
And so some of the bigger mistakes that happened was just a little bit of inexperience, a little bit of guys, you know, out there who weren't quite in that situation before, you know, having to be in a situation that they weren't really ready. No, I wouldn't say they weren't ready for, but you know, they just hadn't seen. And what a great way to learn it and move forward with it. And we have the luxury of being able to pull Brody out and put Rotterhouse in or put different young guys in there that are going to give us a lot of good minutes going forward and a lot of good learning experiences definitely too from that fourth.
Ryder's good. He's been getting more and more minutes. It seems like.
Yeah, he's done a really good job at H for us in the offense, and then he can go, you know, play Mike linebacker and give Brody a little bit of a spell when he gets tired. In fact, we threw him on the defensive line some as well too, just because he'll get after you and he's a real physical kid. So yeah.
Good, smart kid, been around the game a long time too. So let's look at a few of these highlights from throughout the game.
Yeah. So We knew we kind of, just based on their alignment, we knew we'd have a good shot at getting this middle onside. And we kind of had two different calls ready for this kick. And when they lined up, they didn't really line up how we liked it, but we practiced it so good, and Haid is so good at what he does that we just wanted to take the risk and try to set the tone early and know, hey, we're going to be aggressive and come get this ball. So really good kick here. They start to bail, it bounces off of them, we get on it, and really, really exciting way to start the game for us and get on the ball and give us an opportunity to start out strong. Here's that fourth down you were talking about earlier. Unfortunately, we go out and aren't not able to put anything really together on offense, but this is after the big fumble. They have great field position. Our defense's back is against the wall. Senior night for them, like you said, homecoming, and to come out and get a big stop there. Again, Brody Peters just doing an outstanding job, getting a great run fit, and coming in there and making a great play and getting us the ball back pretty early. One thing that kind of goes unnoticed is, man, it's hard to get in there and catch snaps. And Grayson Farringer is a center for us. He put some zip behind his snaps. Some centers just kind of lob it back there, or kind of slow. I mean, you better be ready, because it's going to hit you in the face. And we like that, because the faster it gets back there, the quicker the play can develop.
Sure.
And so it is hard, and I think early on both Qs had a little bit of time adjusting to that. But Michael just doing a great job here, getting a little bit of a tough snap. It is high, but he picks up the ball and a great job. This just turns into scramble drill. So great effort by Michael getting this ball, finding Elijah down the field, and getting us in a situation to still do some good things. So good heads up play by both of those kids, man.
Yeah, that's where the athleticism of Michael was huge.
Yeah. I mean, because anybody else, that's probably a safety or something like that. Maybe even a touchdown. I mean, just to go show you how big that is. Really, 95% of other people, that's points on the board, whether it's 2 or 6 or whatever. So really, really good job by him. This play's been pretty successful for us. This is our draw play, and this is the one that Brody scores on here in just a little bit. It's just kind of set up to look like a pass, and then at the last second you hand the ball off to Michael underneath that pulling guard, and Max does a good job of sealing him off. And really wanted that targeting call there at the end, since I felt like he dove right at Brody's head, but we didn't get that, unfortunately. But a good job there at getting upfield, and a good hard run there, and I just wanted to highlight that play again. Kind of seeing this was the touchdown you were talking about too. So kind of that draw play. We do it a little bit different here. We bring Sean in motion, because we've used him in a lot of different ways. He's caught 40 balls this year for about 600 yards. So we've used him in a lot of different motions and movements. And so we wanted to get the defense kind of focused on him a little bit. We stepped back for a pass, and just a great run. And Brody running through 2 different people here. And then turning on the Jets a little bit, and a good job blocking upfield too by these other guys, and just a really good run, exciting run for us to keep us and push us right back in a good situation. So let's see what we got here. Double pass, something we knew, kind of in that situation. We knew we wanted to have a few tricks up our sleeve for this game as well too, but especially when your offense is scrambling a little bit with the loss of your quarterback in pregame, even more, hey, it's even better time. The pressure's off at this point, right? You're just coming out and have fun. Sean does a really good job. Most of the time we toss those jet sweeps. We toss them, that way they're actually passes. That way if there's bobbled or something that's dropped, it's an incomplete pass. So for us to hand this, but in order for Sean to pass it, we have to hand the ball off. So he gets the handoff here, and Brody does a really good job. Not Brody, I'm sorry. It's actually Ryder. We talked about him earlier. Ryder does a really good job keeping this guy from getting to Sean, and Elijah Smith does a good job selling the stalk, and we get a good throw and catch down here, moving the ball downfield. So a really good football play, and then Michael finishing off here with a good hard run right up the gut, and you see we tie it here right before half. So really a good half. I don't know that you could ask for much better. Like I said, I'm still kicking myself. I don't like our onside right after our first score. We should have done something different there. We gave them good field position, and they ended up going to score off of that. Then we really had some great kicks after that with some pooches and stuff like that. But with everything that happened in pregame and going forward, you really can't ask for a much better half there.
I thought we battled
Good way to
well,
end it.
and as usual, Brody run the ball hard.
Yeah, and then third quarter was still very strong for us. Like I said, we're going to see a little swing pass here from Brody catching and good throw and catching. It's not easy for again Michael. He doesn't get a lot of throws during the week, so for him to come in and make some good throws as well too was good, and some great blocking out here by our receivers Sean and Elijah Smith and Caleb there. So getting a bust right out of the half. Pretty good football play here. Big play here. Just kind of threw this in because I like seeing this play strung out. We're not, we get upfield a little bit, but we bring this down, and Jackson Baber, comes up and gets off his block and is real physical. I like seeing a lot of the Bearcats get to the football, so a good job stringing this play out. And then now we're into a fourth down, and again, it's still a close ball game at this point. And we get him in a fourth down close to our territory there, and he's moving around and throwing the ball, and great job coming through there and playing through that, and Hyde just made a whole lot. And that's one of the things we talked about, those DBs, is this is just scramble drill for them, and really ideally, he kind of got away from us a little bit. He talked to Jimmy, and Jimmy knows he should have stayed with him right there instead of coming up on that quarterback, because in essence, in your scramble drill, if your guy takes off, you got to go with him at that point. You leave the defensive line and inside backers for the quarterback. So Jimmy, right when he came off the field, I should have stayed with him. But you see Hyde there coming off, making a play, and just going to make a big stick because he catches that ball if Hyde's not there. That's one thing we talked to the defensive backs about a lot was coming through and playing through bodies to break up balls, and so they've done a really good job with that.
Separated from the football.
That's right. So a good job here by Zayday. He's once he gets through and gets his explosivity on the field, he really makes some good football plays. So a really good job by him getting into the backfield and causing some havoc there. And here's Jimmy Glenn again, just showing his athleticism and his speed, and just doing a really, really good job, man. He's had a really, really good year, and super excited about him. He plays really hard. He plays really, really hard on the defensive side of the ball.
And that's a kid that he's 2 years removed from a pretty serious four-wheeler accident.
Yeah, and
you would never know it as physical as he is.
No, he's come out and really been a really good thing for us this year. Like I said, him and Geis on both ends.
I'll say both those end spots you got.
Done a good job. Here's another senior here, Maddox Medlin, just a great heads up play here by Maddox. They put the ball on the ground, and he's able to get on top of it and hold the ball up. And again, turnover drill is something that we work every single week. Coach Arnold does a good job emphasizing that. And in fact, that defensive line that week, we had worked some scoop and score and falling on fumbles, and so it ended up that it worked out really good for Maddox there in that situation. And again, gave us a chance to get some momentum back, and like I said, we kind of hit a wall and let it get away from us there a little bit in the fourth. But overall, super, of course. It's life. We're frustrated with some of the results that we've had this year. We know we're closer in some situations than we were. That was a big game for us because we wanted to get one more win, kind of hopefully guarantee us one more win than we have, a little bit better playoff seating and whatnot. But it just didn't happen, especially when you get put behind the eight ball like we did before pregame and give yourself a chance to win a game like that. It's really impressive and a testament to our kids. So I was proud of them. And hey, we come back this week and you win and you're in, and you make the playoffs for the 6th straight year. And then you go from the playoffs and you never know what can happen. So, there's still been a lot of good that you can pull from even a game like that can propel you forward. So.
Right. Yeah, continue to play hard. That's all you can ask for necessarily is the way the ball falls, just kind of, you can't control it fully. So as long as you continue to play hard like we do defensively and then offensively with the way we run the ball so hard at times, that's always encouraging to see. It doesn't help ease the pain of losing those games that are close the last few times, but just kind of the nature of it. Those are games that hopefully you find a way to start winning, and for sure starts this week. I can't imagine that your biggest goal of the year isn't just to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's got to be the huge team goal for you guys.
I would say that, we had two major goals at the beginning of the year. One was to finish in the top half of the conference, and that was eliminated. So then you turn into making some noise in the playoffs. And you know, for us to do that, first you have to qualify and get there. So for sure, it's a huge goal for us. You know, if we win Friday, we're in, and that means these seniors have made the playoffs every year that they've played. And in fact, this would be the 6th year in a row. Like I said, that hasn't always been the standard at Mena. You know, there's been times when they hadn't done it but 3 years in a row but once, you know, over 30 years or something like that, like 94, 95, 96, they made it. But other than that, you know, until the late 2000s, 2010, something like that, it wasn't real common stance to make it 3 years in a row. So
Yeah, and I hate to.
for it being 6 years in a row this year,
It's
we're able to get it. It's huge for your program and your kids. And so then you start turning your standards though, right? Of, okay, now it's the expectation we in the playoffs. And I think that's where we want to get this group is, because the reality of it is we bring back a ton of kids next year who have been big key contributors this year. So we still want to meet our expectations of making the playoffs, work towards our goal of making some noise, and then going forward, yeah, you want to start getting back in that conversation for top half of whatever conference you're in and winning a playoff game. You know?
I hadn't thought about that aspect, but that's, like I said, that's a big deal. I mean, 6 straight years. I was thinking back, I hate to be, keep bringing you and I up, but when we were in school, it was you'd make it for 2, and then you would go 2 and 8 or 3 and 7 a year.
Sure. Yeah.
So then you'd miss it for a year. So there are a lot of these gaps where we make it for a couple of years, then miss it for a year, then make it. That's a big deal, I think, in a program where you make it 6 consecutive years to build excitement and an expectation, not only for you guys as a coaching staff, but your kids. I mean,
well, absolutely, and that's I think where you want, because high school football, the ebbs and flows kind of go up and down, especially small school high school football, and I think at a place like here, you just want to be as competitive and the best you can be at every single option, and the fact that we haven't had those 2 and 8, 1 and 9, 3 and 7 years in several years. The last one I think was in maybe 2017, somewhere around that time. So. We've been able to kind of find that even on the years where it's kind of been a struggle and we haven't lost some games that we should have won, you're still hanging around that 5, 6, 7 win game area, and qualifying for the playoffs. And that says a lot about our kids, the kids that played before us, our coaches, the coaches that were here before us, not just us. It's everybody who's had a hand in it, and we're excited that it's good. I mean that's where you want to be as you continue to build a program up. You want it to be, hey, man, I hope we make the playoffs this year. No, there's no hope. You expect to make the playoffs, and then you go from there, and now you turn it into let's do some damage in the playoffs.
I was going to say, I mean, that's probably what the next expectation becomes is not just make it, let's go win again.
That's
let's
right.
go make the quarterfinals every
sure.
few years and those kind of things.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Like I said, I knew we had been there several years here lately. Brian and I are actually talking about where we've been the last few times as far as Gosnell and some of those places up in northeast Arkansas, but and it looks like we're going that direction again. Yeah, if we can get there.
Yeah, we've kind of throw a dart on the board is where we've been. We've been to Gosnell, Truman, Ozark,
basically southern Missouri the last few times.
Yeah, it's been all over the place,
and that's where I think first and foremost you got to win Friday to get there. But I think we talked about it in week 3 or whatever. When you go to Lincoln, that long bus trip. That's where hopefully in a week we're preparing for that process again.
And that's a big part of scheduling those games. Yeah, you schedule good, a good team like Lincoln. They've won 7 games. They're 7-2 at this point. And, a good playoff team that finishes a 3 seed in their conference. And those long trips against good teams. That's why you schedule those, like you're saying, to prepare yourself for a situation in the playoffs, because you're going to be traveling every which way. The 4A is all kinds of spread out, and so. Sometimes you get farther trips than others, but like I said, we got to take care of business Friday, and Waldron's going to come in and be excited about playing, and you can throw records out in any kind of rivalry type games, and they had a bye week last week, and I think that's by design so that they have a couple extra weeks to be ready to play the Bearcats. So they're going to be fired up, ready to play, and
they've got the same chance we do.
Yeah,
if they get in,
that's right.
They win, they can get in as well. So
that's right. So there is the playoffs start this week. I mean, that's really what it is, because it's win or go home from this point forward in every game we play. So
I'd agree. Well, we're all looking forward to it. I mean, I think the weather's going to be great. Be a pretty night for football. Do you have a few keys to win that game Friday that you see?
Yeah, I think starting fast for us is important. We got to be the most physical team on the field as well too. I think starting fast and maintaining that momentum is very, very important. And so for us, I think that's, and of course, like I said, we're still working through figuring out what offense is going to look like now and having that change. So we've got to find our identity and create a new identity based on the new moving parts we have around at that quarterback position. So. Finding some consistency there, continuing to play hard on defense, keeping the defense off the field a little bit more, right? That's important, and hopefully good things happen for the Bearcats.
Sure. Well, excited about it. Excited for the opportunity for us to get another chance to go to the playoffs and another chance to beat Waldron. So,
yeah, for sure.
That's a big deal. I know for everybody. That's one of our closest games. Pretty much a rivalry game, I guess you could say. The last long 40, 50 years, I'd say at least. So
yeah,
it's a big game.
It is for them. Everybody knows. That they haven't won the game since I think '93, so 27 loss, whatever. They know it, we know it, and so it's there. They always want to end it, and we always want to keep it.
Sure.
And those have been some good games. You look at the last 3 years. In 2020, the year we won the conference,
I was thinking about that the other day.
We had to beat them at the very end. To Gavin, we designed. We can go on and on about that, but that offense did a really good job carving up, moving down the field, and gave us one last shot. And Gavin caught that touchdown pass, and then we didn't lose again until the playoffs and won the conference for the first time in 24 years. So beating in that team, that was a good Waldron team. They won 4 or 5 games that year. And then last year they were up on us 13-10 at half. So. They were a pretty good team. They came up, fired out, ready to play last year, and were up on us 13-10. And right after half, a couple of our kids who are back, Brody and Michael, they said, "Hey, I'm going to do what it takes to get this win," and we ended up winning that game pretty handily in that fashion. It was closer at the end, but again, it's that goes to show you right there. Records don't matter. Scores, none of that matters. They're going to come out ready to play, and they got some that they practice just like we do, and they have good football players on their team, and so it should be a good night of Friday night football.
Well, like you said, it's basically the first week of playoffs. So
that's right.
Big night if you can make it. Encourage you to be there, be loud, be proud of the Bearcats, and hopefully encourage them on to get that win and get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
again.
Senior night, so come out, and we got 9 seniors, and really can't say enough about those guys, man. There's some interesting journeys within those 9 seniors, and the biggest thing I can say about them is they're just so unselfish, and they're true Bearcats. They love being Bearcats, and they're all team players, and really, really proud of them and their journey as well.
Hey, and anytime you're close to double digits, but graduating kids, I think that's another pat on the back for you guys as coaches. When you can keep those kids in your program to, like I said, 9, 10, 11, that's a big deal when you keep your numbers up like that. So
well, and I think one thing I love about this senior class too is just like I said, some of their journeys have not been easy. I'm talking football wise. Some have had to battle through a position change, or maybe not getting to play as much in one area or whatever. But man, they've just stuck it out and want to be a part of the team and help each other out. And of course, we have several that are starters. We have several that are starters on special teams, and several who kind of rotate in. And I'm just really proud of who they are, because they don't. In that situation, it's easy to be selfish, and they are not. And I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, I'd say this, Coach, it's probably a reflection of you as well and your coaches.
I appreciate it.
That's a big deal and a good thing to be proud of. So Friday night, if you get a chance, come out, support the seniors, support the Bearcats, and hopefully we'll get that big win, and we'll be seeing us next week talking about playoff football. So again, I thank you, Coach, for letting me sit in for Clint, and like I said, we hope we see you Friday night.